just as a quick starter, put all this together and realised the Renault bit, that this is the first bit, was getting up to 20 minutes. I split it up. So the Givenergy is in another video, which I'll call part 2. And just talking about Renault and one of my long journeys in this first part. So here's the video I recorded yesterday. Hi everybody. I thought I'd talk about something a little bit different tonight. So although I will cover some of the Givenergy charging at the end, it primarily relates to this. So this is my new car, which I'm really pleased to show you. I've had it probably a couple of weeks now and covered around 900 miles, I think. So I think I can probably give a reasonable view of my thoughts on just first owning an EV car. Not had one before. I've only ever driven one for a little while, but now I've got my own, and just thought I'd run through a few things really of my experience of the first couple of weeks and that many miles. I'm going to split this into kind of 3 sections. I'll put the timings a bit below, so people that want to moan on about NCAP and all the rest of it, they can either skip it or listen. Here we go. So I guess the first thing I want to say really is that I thought owning an EV car would be a little bit straightforward, and linking it to solar would be straightforward. It's not as easy as I thought, for lots of reasons really. Obviously charging at home is a problem, unless you got the chargers and things. So at the moment I only have a 3-pin charger. I'm still waiting for my fast charger. Kind of getting a theme here that everything I would like seems to be delayed all the way along. But I thought actually it's not a bad idea to be just charging off a 3-pin to see if I can do it, and on the whole it's going quite well. So cover a bit of that. I guess for a lot of people that are new to this, like me, I think it does make it a little bit difficult until you get going, and that's why you'll hear in a minute I took it on a long run to really try and see if I could make my life a little bit easier. So let me just put this going. So this was I'll just run this in the background. So as you tell, it's nice. I love it, the purple, very nice and dark. I was a bit nervous when I got it, because having test drive the car, which you don't do very many miles in when you're test driving it, especially over the kind of COVID period and all the rest of it. Actually I think it was probably after that. I was a bit nervous about getting it, because I just remember it being a bit wallowy, but I've had it this long, a couple of weeks, done a few miles, and actually I love it. It's small, compact, means we can put the whole family in, got space in the room. We got some Cocker Spaniels, some puppies at the moment. We can put them in the boot, which we can't do in our Volvo. We got the S90, there is no boot. It's really working out well, and obviously being electric and being able to charge it at home. I'm now on the Octopus Go Faster, so the 5-hour tariff, which I really couldn't do without at the moment, because I'm having to charge it practically every night when I'm going to work and things like that to just get some power in. I think I'm getting about maybe 15 to 20, and if I remember by the end of this I'll explain using a bit of battery as well from my home to complement the electric. But yeah, so I've had a really good test. This is the GTLine Plus, and it's probably only one of 3 versions of it, because I think Renault decided in their wisdom to change the modelling. But really pleased with it. It's got the fast charge. One of the annoying things was I wanted 17-inch alloys as an option, but which they didn't do. But now they've changed the models, you can get the version with 17-inch alloys. But actually after driving it, it's not too bad. The suspension kind of stiffens up a bit in some of the corners, and it's not as wallowy as I thought it would be, which I'm quite surprised about. And I know you got the batteries low down, but there we go. I think they mentioned it's 85% recyclable and 95% reusable or something like that. but actually you do notice it when you shut the door. It is quite, perhaps tinny is the word you're looking for, but again, I guess that's the lightness. They want to keep it fairly light. I don't know, but when you're in it, you feel really kind of comfortable. The app they give you is, like most of them, and even like the Givenergy one, I think is a bit glitchy. Although as of today, it does seem better. So it will give you some of the charging statistics, so you can see when it's charging. All the rest, I'm sure lots of other cars do the same. Again, I got a bit lucky with the pricing. I got the Renault discount, a government discount, and this, that, and the other, and it arrived within 18 weeks. So I was really pleased. Some of the little annoying things, they don't give you a in the back where you put the charging cable, there is no false floor, so I ended up making one, which has worked out. I put a bit of wood in the back and put, my kids swim, so I got a plastic cover for the back, so actually it's working out well. The dogs can go there, and annoyingly they only give you your fast charger, which is great if you've got a fast charger at home, but I've only got a 3-pin, so that was a bit of a problem. But you have to buy that additionally, so there's another couple of £100, and I'm not sure what happened, but it seemed to blow my 13-pin socket, my 13 amp socket, which was actually a cooker one, but that could just be an old socket. But I've replaced that and it's fine now. Happy with the layout. The one thing that there's a couple of annoying little things that I do find with it. Obviously there's no seat adjustment, which is frustrating, again because all the batteries are underneath, but I knew that when I was getting it. I can't seem to wind the windows up when the ignition's off, so i.e. when you're walking away you've left the windows down. Again, might just be me, I just cannot find it anywhere. And things like opening the flap, you have to open the car to press the button to open the flap. But I guess you get this with all the cars, all the kind of things. We've done, me being me, I thought it was a good thing to do to test the mileage. So they reckon, I think about 250 miles on a charge, which obviously that's the real life thing, but that's not going to happen. But I thought with the kids being some holidays, I'd do a trip to Alton Towers. They were okay in the back. It was quite a long old day driving up there. The visibility was good, and all the rest of it. So it went really well. I think it's really nippy. I like the regenerative braking. I think that helps, especially coming to lights and things, which is really good. So I'll explain a bit about my recharging later, because again, like a lot of people, mention it to people, you can't just pull into a petrol station and fill your car up. You have to plan a little bit more, and as a result I've got quite a few cards now. Having the S90, I do miss some of the 360 cameras and the adaptive cruise control, but I guess you can't have anything in a car everything in a car like that, but there we go. So just to finish off, suddenly thought I realised I ought to show a few more screenshots. This is the 3-pin charger. So I bought this from Screwfix, so it's about £200 worth. And as you can see, this is a 3-hour charge to give me 6.5 kilowatt hours. So it's 2.3 an hour. So a little bit slow overnight, hence the 5 hours I need to keep it charging as much as possible from home. And then obviously I'm paying 8.25 pence per kilowatt, so as cheap as I can get it. This is what the Renault app looks like. So at this point it's telling me that it's unplugged, it's 38%, which is about 76 miles, and I've done 400 miles. And in here, this is where you can set the custom mode for charging, and you can turn on the climate, or set the climate if you want to. I found this a little bit glitchy at times, so it doesn't always refresh properly. So I either switch to 4G, which you can see I'm on here, or I go and do it in the car. It's just a bit more straightforward. And this is what it's like when it's plugged in and charging. So again, you can see it's charging in progress, and this and the other. So one of the main reasons I did buy the Renault, which I forgot to mention earlier, was the efficiency. So this has a couple of things, and primarily I think I can show it here. So on this screen you'll see this is where I've done a distance of 400 miles. My average speed is this, but you can see that my consumption is around 4.5 miles per kilowatt. And if I do a journey to work, which for me is about 90 miles, I actually managed to get 4.8 the other day. That equates to about, if you assume 4.5 kilowatts, miles per kilowatt, then that's about 20 kilowatts, costing about £1.60. So to cover the distance, you know, to work and back is very cheap then, rather than the cost of diesel, which would be probably around the £15 mark. So again, that's one of the main reasons that I bought, you know, the Renault, being small, and it's pretty quick off the mark actually. I'm really pleased with the acceleration. You know, it slows off at about 50, but you know, you can put your foot down and then surprise a few people, let's say. So feeling comfortable that I could do a few miles and charge from home and everything, I thought it was about time to do a sort of a long distance test. So the car's supposed to be able to do 250 miles, so let's see what it can do. So taking the kids out in half term, armed with my however many apps and cards and all the rest of it, we set off to Alton Towers. So set off with 90% because that's all I could get in the car overnight with all the charges. So I'd planned that with my 3-pin charger. And then we set off. So thought we'd just do motorway there and then less motorway home. So basically M5, M6, and then cut through to Alton Towers. And with a planned stop at near Wolverhampton with one of the the Shell rechargers. So here we are there. We thought, oh, we'll quickly nip in for a cup of, go and get a drink, see how long it takes to charge. I'm really impressed. Just swipe your card, charge it up, and then stop it. So really impressed. We just thought we'd do a quick 10-minute stop. I can't remember how long it was exactly, but about 10 minutes, and then set off again, just to give us 10%. When we arrived at Alton Towers, this was a consumption. So earlier, you remember me saying I was getting 4.5 or 4. This is actually what I found I got on the longer distance run. So obviously a bit less, but still really pleased with it. You can just sit in the motorway and keep going. You can also see that there's a number of kilowatts that are through the braking have been recuperated. So really pleased with that. Actually, because the app's pretty good, it within a few hours, I think, it comes back and tells you what you've actually spent. So I actually put in 6 kilowatts in 7 minutes, and the total cost for me was £3. So it was, I guess, oh no, the cost was £3. Then I got a discount because I was on the Shell. I have Shell Go already, so actually my total cost was about £2.10, just to put sort of 10% in. So when I arrived, I think I'd used probably around 70% of my battery, which was slightly higher than I thought. And obviously I knew there was no way I was going to be able to do it on one full charge all the way there and back. So obviously while we're walking around, we're trying to plan different stops on the way back. The one thing I will mention is in Zoe it has an eco mode. However, I found out that if you go over, it doesn't let you over 65 miles an hour. So it's absolutely no use on the motorway, so you can't turn that on. So basically just left it in normal mode with braking for some extra recharge when it came to sort of stops. I averaged about 70 miles an hour, didn't really go over that, so nice and consistent. And yeah, so really good. On the way home, we decided to stop in Uttoxeter, which is pretty close. We found that there was a Lidl there, which had a charger, and that was a challenge as well, because we turned up to use it, and I think it was PodPoint, However, at that point I hadn't realised that some of the pod points were chargeable, you know, naivety I guess. So in trying to set it up and connect the car, it got really confused. So at some point I couldn't actually disconnect the CCS charger. So sort of taking a step back, trying to disconnect it from the car, eventually got it out. It only took a minute or so, but it was just that kind of panic of, do I release it on the app? Do I press the button in the car? Kind of combination. And then at that point I couldn't even charge or discharge, you know, disconnect or anything. So luckily they had a Type 2, which rather than 50 in the Zoe, will run. The Type 2 runs at 43 kilowatt hours. So was able to plug that in. We nipped into Lidl, more expense spared on pastries, and then came out, and then actually we managed to switch it over to the CCS just to give it that extra little boost, which did help. I can't remember now, but there was definitely a difference in the performance, obviously with that DC charging rather than the AC. So that was good. So we put a bit more in. I can't remember how much, but I thought it would be enough to get home. However, when we then decided we weren't going to do motorway all the way home. We were going to take a slightly different route, avoiding, just to try and get to see what the consumption difference was. So we avoided a lot of the motorways, and ended up pretty much going through Birmingham, which wasn't the plan, but it was a challenge. And then we sat on the M6, which was closing down because they were restricting it to one lane, which was again some of these things that you think, oh, I've got lights on, I've got this, that and the other, you know, is the battery going to last? And actually by the time I got to Warwick, which is about 58 miles, I actually had only 58 miles in a tank. So at that point you're kind of thinking, okay, where can I go? Now I know there was one at Tesco's on the way home, but it would be very slow, a 7 kilowatt charger. So I then looked on ZapMap and found that actually there was one at the Warwick Junction, which was really helpful. It was at McDonald's, so it was quite easy to get to. So we pulled into there. However, I think we just missed McDonald's by 7 minutes, or you know, so. Unfortunately, the kids were a bit unhappy because they weren't going to get their food. But for me, it was good because I was going to spend X amount on McDonald's, which I could have put in the electric. So we sat at the Instavolt with one other person sat there. It was kind of nearly midnight by now, so yeah, did a quick charge. So thought just need enough to get home really. Again, from my perspective, it was really good. So with this one, you could just put your card on it. So you literally just tap your credit card or card on there, and then at the end it just tells you what you've used. And again, it was pretty quick. And for the sake of charging up for 3 or 4 quid every time, as long as, in my opinion, I think, and a lot of probably others, I think these 50 kilowatt chargers make a lot of difference. They take away so much of the stress in terms of just getting enough to allow you to go to the next place. And if they weren't around and it was all 7 kilowatts, then I think I would be even more stressed. But assuming you can find a fast charge and put just enough in, I think these work really well. So just to finish off, I then made it home. Again, slightly longer distance, average speed, but I'd managed an average of 4.6. So again, I was really pleased with the consumption, proving that even on a longer run with a bit of motorway and this, that and the other, I think we did a bit on the M42, bit of M40 that came off at Warwick, and then the Stowe Road, which was pretty quiet at that time of night. Actually, it was pretty good, and the consumption is really I'm really pleased with. So if I sum it up, I think realistically, I put in, let's assume I put in a full charge before I left at 8p, which I think equates to about £12. A fast charge, I did some fast charging on the way, so I think I've probably done £10 to £12 worth of fast charging. So it's probably cost me, well, it cost me on the day sort of £10 to £12, but overall cost me £20. Whereas obviously with the diesel, you know, assuming that you're going to get 50 to the gallon, you know, it'd be up at £40. So it can be done, but you've just got to plan a little bit. Just a couple of things actually. So I arrived home with 10%, so you know, I'd minimised the amount that I'd spent, which was pretty good. Although, you know, I could have taken some of that away by charging up more in Utoxeter or wherever. So, you know, there's always a way around it. The other thing to bear in mind is that the one thing to bear in mind also is that just because it says fast charge doesn't mean you necessarily get that full fast charge. There is a charge curve, so just keep an eye on that, I guess, when you're at the charging stations, that you know, see what power you get, because sometimes it caught me out a little bit when it was showing, I think one of them was showing 36, you know, and you're expecting 50, so you just have to allow for kind of things like that. So and then the really annoying thing, which is I think where you just hear it from everybody, is sort of sometimes the lack of the rapid chargers. That's a bit of a pain, but actually when they don't work. So I was trying to show my wife how to use some of the rapid chargers. We were in Bristol, we went to a recharge, just couldn't get it started. We thought we'd done everything right, this, that and the other, and just couldn't start it, and in the end gave up. And then the other one was not far from there, I think it was the McDonald's Instavolt. We couldn't even plug the charger in, just for no reason, and being new to it, we're never sure whether it's us or the car, and in the end, after 5 minutes of trying to get in the app and this, that and the other, we decided to move to a different charger, plugged it in, started it up straight away. So you know, I can feel some of the pain of all the other people where they say the chargers aren't working or this, that and the other. That's where it gets a bit frustrating, but on the whole, as long as, you know, we found that as long as, you know, there's another one around, and there are lots of them, run by lots of different companies. So while I was in Bristol, I think it's MFG, I think I installed another app just in case I wanted to use that one. It's like, this is where the challenge comes. So but anyway, all done and all home, and then just planning for the next X amount of days to charge my car overnight on a 3-pin charger.